Yes, it still works. Yes. 10 years down the road, still got it.
It's been so long.
Yo, what's going on YouTube? It's your boy Othy. Lately, been getting a lot of requests to do reaction videos. So yeah, we ended up getting our first video. This is a redemption from a friend of mine named the Mad King Haster. This one is how cats broke the game. I haven't watched any of these videos. I have not watched any of this. I'm blind clicking on these. So, but we do stream live almost every single day on twitch.tv/therealOTG. Links will be in the description. But we also have a Discord. We're going to go with this one here first. We're going to check this out. We're going to see what's up with it. Let's get into this reaction video, man. Let's check it out. Oh, shit. I wasn't ready for that.
This game's tier list can seem pretty set in stone sometimes, but in reality, major shifts in the meta can happen extremely quickly, especially when new resource hotspots and points of interest open up. Builds which are well adapted to capitalize on these flashpoints can see dramatic ascensions on the tier list. One such event occurred when humans unlocked the food storage ability. This greatly improved the humans' survivability by giving them a consistent source of XP even during harsh winters or famines. That is, if they could defend their stockpiles. These stashes were incredibly valuable, and could easily support entire colonies of rats and sparrows if improperly guarded.
Bro, that's crazy, because I know that shit be real, bro. Like, real shit. You will get a bunch of rats just coming at you if you do not protect your shit, or if you don't have it, like, sealed in. Like, you want to make sure that you have a good, like, base structure, and then you want to make sure that the walls are all good. Like if there's a way to get underneath or get in, they will.
And while these Neolithic humans did have some techniques they could use to try and protect their precious grain on their own, ultimately their saving grace came in the form of a previously low-tier predator build that was barely scraping by in the North African savanna, the Wildcat. A build which, once domesticated, would go on to become one of the most oppressive, overpowered predators in the current meta. But what is it about the house cat that makes it such a dominant threat? And how was it that the Wildcat became better suited at taking advantage of pest infestations than other builds? To really explain the success of the house cat, we need to go way back and start our story just after the Miocene balance patch.
Bro, like, I get a kick out of that, man. That's fucking insane. Like, cats really are, like, the at-home killers. Like, sorry. I'll stop pausing it so much.
This update granted mammals access to a new ability called Carnassial Teeth, a side grade of the Dentition skill tree, which allows users to gain bonus XP from carcasses and carrion sources. This may seem like a minor thing, but it completely changed up the metagame and made hyper-carnivorous builds a lot more viable, giving rise to a new archetype called the Carnivoran, a group which includes many of the most popular predator builds in the current meta.
Mongoose.
Carnivorans are divided into two factions, Caniforms and Feliforms. Caniforms are more generalist in nature and invest a lot into the olfaction skill tree, letting them track the sense of whatever they need, be it scavengeable carrion, prey, fruit, honey, water, or teammates, from a great distance. They also tend to have a lot of stamina, allowing them to run for long distances without tiring. Feliforms, on the other hand, doubled down on the Carnivoran archetype's original strategy. They spec'd into even more abilities meant to crank up the efficiency of the hyper-carnivore game plan. The ability Tongue Papillae allows felids to extract even more value from fresh kills. Instead of investing heavily into scent-based sensory power, Feliforms tend to focus more on their hearing and eyesight abilities. This doesn't help them scavenge, since things like carcasses and berries don't make sound, but it does make them incredibly good at detecting hidden prey. Also, in keeping with the Carnivoran's first major advancement, Feliforms also focus a lot more heavily on specialized dentition, optimizing their bite attacks to deal massive puncture damage, and more effectively hold onto prey so the user.
Bro, hang on, I gotta go. His face, though.
Bite attacks deal massive puncture damage, and more effectively hold onto prey so the user can deal bonus damage with their claws. Throw in a few more ambush-focused abilities like retractable claws and camouflage fur patterns, and you've arrived at the modern Felid, easily one of the most successful stealth assassin builds the game has ever seen. In fact, during the Ice Age expansion, Felids were such a dominant threat that many other Predator builds had trouble competing with them at all. In the current meta, cats remain incredibly dominant in virtually every major terrestrial server. Basically every cat, including the ones I like to throw shade at, is a threat. Not just to those of similar weight class, but even to builds that vastly outweigh them. Although their power stat tends to be fairly modest among carnivorans, through efficient use of critical hits, a skilled Felid player can take down just about anything. While the majority of the Felid player base was off rampaging through the upper weight classes, an offshoot of the faction opted to forego larger size and instead chose to spec into a few new abilities, meant to capitalize on exploiting the weaknesses commonly found in the lower weight classes. So let's finally start unpacking what makes the house cat so overpowered. We'll begin with a quick look at the cat's stats. We've got a build with upper mid-level intelligence, low defensive stats, decent damage, above average stealth, high mobility, and excellent perception.
Bro, like, I get a kick out of how they're actually breaking this down into, like, gamer stats. That way we, as gamers, understand this a little bit better. But, I mean, like, dude, it is so good. I like the way they're breaking it down. I'll get back.
Right off the bat, something that might jump out at you is, well, the fact that nothing jumps out at you. Cats are supposedly some of the most broken predators of all time, and yet none of their stats seems all that busted on their own. Top tier builds tend to have at least one stat that is so high it completely invalidates the strategies of other players. But no, cats aren't able to use tools, they don't have a bone-crushing or venomous bite, they can't change colors, they can't tank attacks for days, they can't echolocate, and so on. So no obvious answer here. Next, let's check out their unique abilities. We talked about a few already, including the abilities that buff the XP rates from meat sources. These should not be understated, as without them you can pretty much entirely write off the viability of this build. Cats, and all other mammals, have the warm-blooded trait. This grants them greatly improved stamina regen rates, greater resistance to cold damage, and a bunch of other useful perks, but at the cost of much greater upkeep requirements, meaning they need to secure kills much more frequently than similarly sized cold-blooded builds. Without these abilities granting the cat bonus XP from meat, it would be very difficult for them to keep up with their energy needs, even with how efficient cats are at hunting. Cats can also move extremely quietly due to their soft toe pads and retractable claws, enabling them to easily get within striking range of prey through smart use of cover and line of sight. But okay, all types of cat, large and small, have those abilities. How about something more unique to house cats? For that, let's look at their primary perception-based ability, slitted pupils. This ability grants house cats extremely precise depth perception, greater than all other felids. This allows them to perfectly judge the optimal pouncing distance, massively increasing their odds of landing an immediate critical hit and incapacitating their target before it has a chance to respond. So even though the house cat's base damage isn't broken in and of itself, when a house cat goes on the offensive, it can certainly look that way. This strategy is what has led to the complete collapse of several different player bases in the amphibian, reptile, bird, and mammal factions, as it truly is that oppressive. Now, while we were first looking at the cat's base stats, one thing you might have assumed right away was that the cat's lower defensive stats are its main weakness, and that cats function as a sort of glass.
Well, I love the editing in this video, man. Shout out to whoever put this video together. Oh my god. This is just amazing. Like, half of the stuff I didn't even know about cats. I'm gonna be real with you, chat. I had no idea. No idea.
Cannon, with very little counterplay options when attacked. You might also assume that given the cat's high mobility, their primary defensive strategy is simply to run away when they feel threatened. And while their top speed is often enough to escape danger when needed, instead, cats employ their mobility stat defensively in a different way. This is where one of the most shockingly effective aspects of the house cat manifests. House cats use their incredible agility to stand their ground. Agility and quick reflexes are usually used to dodge attacks, but cats instead actually use the reflexes to deflect them. Because their incredible depth perception grants them such high accuracy on their attacks, they can use their claw swipe attack to actually block incoming strikes. This is surprisingly consistent and works on a lot more attacks than you might think. Now, obviously this is a high skill, high reward strategy. Missing a parry can result in serious damage, but if you get good enough at this, you can ward off attacks from just about anything, and potentially even open up opportunities for counterattacks. Put all this together, and you come to understand what a house cat build truly is. A house cat is what you get when you fuse the deadliness of a snake with the energy of a mammal. But why does this playstyle make for such a good partnership with human players? Compared to dogs, they seem like they'd be much less useful party members. Humans broke the game and became the top tier build by using coordinated team strategies and tool use in order to utterly trivialize their matchup versus large mammals. Dogs easily slot right into this game plan, as they can help track and chase down large prey, and also sniff out any potential ambush predators that could disrupt and punish this strategy. When a successful kill is made, dogs and humans naturally split the reward and both benefit. Dogs are also great defensively, as they can keep watch at camp and alert party members of approaching enemies. Cats are generally pretty useless in this regard. They don't have anywhere near the endurance required to chase down prey over long distances, can't square off head-to-head with those builds anyway, and aren't nearly as reliable for early enemy alerts. The kills the cat makes can't realistically be shared with humans either. It wasn't until humanity unlocked the agriculture ability that the player base began to notice additional vulnerabilities they didn't need to care about before, vulnerabilities that dogs couldn't really help with. When operating off of a hunter-gatherer strategy, humans could basically ignore all builds in the low weight class. Rats and birds were no threat to humans, and also not worth the effort to take down, so it makes sense for them to just focus on larger quarries. However, when the focus shifts to farming and food storage, those same builds humans were ignoring before suddenly became one of their biggest threats. Having a great
Yeah, like you don't really realize how much these little rodents and pigeons and birds and stuff like that, they'll get at your crops. They'll get at your crops if you ever try growing like any type of farmland or produce. They are detrimental for sure.
granary raided and its food reserves destroyed could easily wipe out an entire human settlement. So figuring out proper security for these storage sites was critical. Dogs simply are not effective enough at stopping pest infestations to fill that role. They cannot climb or fit into small spaces, and aren't stealthy enough to catch the trickier pests. Cats, on the other hand, are truly excellent at this task, and come with other benefits as well. The main one being that they require very little upkeep. Although they are social builds, they hunt alone, so they don't require any direction or attention from their human party members in order to accomplish their task. Since humans don't have any need for rat or bird carcasses, the fact that cats don't usually share their kills is actually a benefit rather than a drawback. The only thing cats really require from humans is to share in the shelters they construct. In the wilderness, cats typically use burrows, hollow stumps, or caves as their home bases. But these are vulnerable to attacks. Human settlements are significantly safer. Speaking of safety, even though cats are extremely lethal hunters, they pose very little danger to humans. This is a huge advantage over snakes, which theoretically could ally with humans to serve the same purpose, but in practice are far too dangerous to risk keeping around. The fact that cats are warm-blooded and therefore need to eat more frequently than snakes is also a benefit rather than a drawback for humans, since it means they need to stay on task and keep their guard up. So, while it is common to see players debate which build makes for the better addition to a human player's party, the correct answer is actually both. Dogs are a huge help in the large creature matchup, while cats cover your weaknesses in the small creature matchups. Having both in your party covers all of your weaknesses, and enables human settlements to use a hybrid playstyle of both hunting and farming. So if you're a human main trying to construct the most optimal party comp, the only real question is how you'll keep the dog and cat players from fighting each other. Thanks again for watching, and as always, good luck out there.
Well, shit, guys, we ended up learning a lot about cats today. But I like the way that they broke it down into like a gamer references and whatnot. I thought it was very fascinating. Anyways, guys, I enjoyed the video. If you guys enjoyed the video, make sure that you comment, like, share, subscribe, guys, because we are going to be getting a lot more of these videos out. We're going to be doing a whole lot of reactions, you know. So, but anyways, guys, we will check y'all on the next one. Y'all have a good one, YouTube. See y'all in the stream. Later, man.